What's up, guys? It's Chris from Pursuit of Possibility. Welcome to my channel. It's committed to sharing positive perspective and practical strategies to live life fully. I've got an amazing guest today. I'm really pumped. I've got famous comedian Mike Marino. Hopefully we'll have some laughs today and learn a little bit about his journey and what it takes to actually be funny. Mike, thanks for being here.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for having me on your show. This is fantastic.
100%. Mike, I heard a quote that a day without humor is a day wasted. Comedy is like the best medicine. Laughter is the best medicine. What are your thoughts on like comedy and humor, and like why is it important to you and why is it important in life?
Well, it really is. It's a very true statement. When I first started doing stand-up comedy, I never really believed in that statement is laughter is the best medication or whatever that is. But after doing stand-up for so many years, and the world famous club owner, Jamie Masada, who owns the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, said that he is the father of all the children who create laughter, which is the comedian. And the comedian is actually a doctor of the soul. We
Wow.
can actually make you forget about the trial and tribulations of the day, even if it's just for a little while. And it actually makes you breathe, which is where I think the healthy part comes from. So let's suppose you're having a really bad day for whatever reason it is. You turn on a comedian, he tells you a joke, you crack a smile, you take a deep breath and you go, it's going to be all right.
Right. That's amazing. So comedians are like, you almost said like doctors of the soul. I've never heard that before. That's an amazing insight and perspective. Have you found like that humor's been effective, like to talk about like difficult issues or deal with like tough times in life? Have you even found that like personally?
Yeah, you always do, because even being an entertainer, a comedian like myself, you can go into some kind of depression because of something that you didn't get, a goal you did not achieve. We always have that, why am I here and I'm not there? And then you get there and you wonder why I'm there, but I'm not there, and you tend to think you're the only one in that situation. And then you get together with other comedians and you realize we're all identical. We all have the same want. We all have the same need. But yet we actually forget that we can help people, which is something that makes you feel so good. So I tend to really think about that more often than not, that I make people happy. So if I could do that, then I should be happy.
Absolutely. Like that's a beautiful thing. And like what really inspires you to like create your comedy and your different shticks and things? I love some of your shticks, like Make America Italian Again and an Italian family on Family Feud. I was just watching that the other day and sharing with my friends. Like what? So I do, by the way, want to, as this goes on, get into some specific jokes, your favorite jokes, but like what inspires your comedy?
Everyday life. What I see every day makes me laugh. If you really look deep into something, there's something to laugh about it, because the truth is always going to make you laugh. You experience it. It's just that comedians have the ability to recall it and put it back out there for you. And you go, oh my God, he's right. So if you talk about family, everybody has family, good ones, bad ones.
Yep.
Talk about dating. Everybody's been on a date. You talk about a job. Everybody's been fired. Everybody's been hired. Everybody quit. So whenever you talk about something that's real, something that's really going on in the world, in your life, other people identify and go, oh my God, that happened to me. And that usually makes somebody laugh. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it makes somebody go, oh, I'm not alone. Oh my God, that happened. Oh my God, he's so right. Yeah, that's so funny. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that you hit on something that I wanted to ask you is like, what is humor? So it sounds like it's almost like you hit on a truth that's like relatable. Is that how you define humor in a way?
Yes, because if you make something up that didn't happen, it's not going to be funny. It's a guarantee. You might get a chuckle, but it's not going to get a laugh. But if you say something that actually happened to you, people are going to laugh because they're going to say that happened to me. Just yesterday, I was in a supermarket shopping, and you know how you check out your own items?
Yeah.
To me, that's ridiculous. Doesn't anybody understand you're putting people out of work? I know how to do what you were hired to do. We don't need you anymore. Now I can do it. So get out. But there was a robot there now. And the robot is just a stick with big bug eyes. And it had a mask on. And it's a piece of metal. And it's roaming around. And nobody knows what it does. Now a comedian is about to face off with a robot. And I'm going to have fun with it. So I started to Instagram my day in the supermarket with a robot that nobody knows why he's there.
Wow.
It didn't answer my questions. It didn't tell me where anything was. It doesn't have arms or legs, so it can't clean up. What is it for? Then I thought, well, maybe it's just paying attention to what I'm doing in case I steal something. But if I steal something, what's the robot going to do? Call somebody?
Right.
And the whole thing is just hilarious. But it could be like $100,000 robot. You should have just employed somebody.
So you actually there was a robot? Like, because I know the self-checkout, and first of all, I don't like to do the self-checkout. I prefer the human touch, and I'm also a little lazy. I don't want to do the work. But you're saying you actually wait, there was a robot.
Yeah, a robot. He roams around the store.
What? Like, wait, where are you at? Are you, is this in Jersey or?
Yeah. It's at the Stop and Shop in Watchung, New Jersey.
What are they doing in Jersey? Oh, gosh. I'm over in Austin, Texas, and I haven't seen those robots. That's so funny, though. I can't imagine you posting on Instagram. Like, it sounds like you can just take these daily scenarios that are
and it's going to be funny. Everybody was writing into my Instagram going, that is hilarious. What does it do? It doesn't have any arms. It can't help you. It can't talk to you. Why are we wasting money on this robot in the supermarket? So I have to have fun. So I went over to it and I said, can you tell me where the cheesesteaks are?
Right. Oh, man, cheesesteaks, that's an important item. You can't go wrong with a cheesesteak.
Well, it's summertime, so we got to start thinking about outdoor foods.
Absolutely. And then that's great though for football season too, which unfortunately we're not at yet. But when I was a kid, my dad, who he would make me these Philly cheesesteaks, but he would say the weirdest, quirky things. He'd say Philly steak cheese, like he'd reverse the order. I don't know why he does that. He invents words. And my dad's a character, you know that. And so he'd make the Philly steak cheeses, and I always enjoyed those. But
that's also where comedy comes from, because we all have somebody in our family that reverses words.
There are some people that are so quirky, and I'm quirky. Some people hey, Chris, honestly, I've never met anyone like you. And I'm like, is that good or bad? Let me pretend like it's a good thing. But don't you think, are you able to a lot of times base humor off that type, a certain type of far out persona, just a character you see?
Yeah. See, we all have people in our lives that do quirky stuff like that. And my life would have been my Uncle Tommy. And he was in his 70s when I was a little kid, and he said the funniest things. And he would have that old raspy voice because he smoked Lucky Strikes. And he would always go like this, your president, you saw what he did? Finally, he listened to me.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I called him last week.
Wait a second. So he literally thought he spoke to the president.
He did. It's the weirdest
thing. You know what's interesting? I have a friend, Vince, my best friend. Shout out to Vince out there. I know you keep up on the channel. I appreciate you, brother. His aunt, let's say his aunt, I guess would think that, maybe the FBI was onto her or something, and there's just, I don't know. There's certainly some characters, and I've had my moments, but I wanted to ask you, I thought this is a burning question for me, right? Someone like me, I rely heavily on dad jokes, pretty lame dad jokes to get by. I'm honestly not naturally too funny. Do you think being funny, people have a funny bone or something inside of them that makes them funny? Did you have that? Or do you think it's a skill that can be developed?
It's a stiff question, man, because when I was a little kid, I was pulling pranks on my friends all the time.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to be a comedian. I just wanted to have fun. I just wanted to be an actor. But when I turned 29 and I already had been in a bunch of films and a bunch of TV commercials, I went to the Comedy Store in Los Angeles and I learned the skill of stand-up comedy, which is a different animal. So if you have friends and you say, oh, he's really funny, he should do stand-up, he probably shouldn't.
Oh, interesting. Can you talk more about that? I think I've heard that before.
Usually people off stage might not be too funny on stage. This is an art form. You got to train. You got to go out every night. You got to have a rhythm.
Yeah.
It's all the rhythm. It's all the cadence of what you say, how you deliver it. Comedians could take a boring subject and make it extremely funny because of the timing that we have. You know, you heard the phrase comedy timing, comedic timing, and it really is the way to develop a joke and deliver it so that it hits. It's like a metronome. It's like a clock. And actually, it's like hitting the speed bag of a boxer. You know, you got to really be on time.
Wow. You know what? I saw you live in my hometown, Naples, Florida, at Off the Hook Comedy Club, and it was awesome, man. I was laughing so hard. You even called out my sister. I remember she was on her phone, and you like kind of improv. That was great. And so, yeah, no, that's the real deal. You know, that's being out there versus like at a cocktail party or a whatever kind of party, just throwing some jokes around. What type of preparation went into the show that I saw?
Well, you know, I've been doing stand up for so long that there's really not that much preparation because I was on stage every night of the week.
Yeah.
But when I go into a different city, I usually try to experience the city prior to going on stage so that I could do what we call regionalisms. And maybe there's something in the area I want to talk about, like making the left-hand turn in Florida.
Totally.
If I do see somebody who's, you know, maybe not paying attention, they're going to get tortured.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. But you know what you did is you didn't roast her too bad, just enough, you know.
No, just to stop the texting.
Exactly. And hey, that's a whole different topic, right? I can be addicted to my phone. It's right over here. I should make sure that's put away, maybe throw it on the couch. But hey, I bet you have a lot of good stories, you know, from your career, and a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to as well going forward. But like, what are some cool stories? I don't know. You said you knew like Sebastian Maniscalco and Joe Rogan, but whether it's like interactions with folks like that, or maybe like like some of your favorite moments in your career so far, like can you tell us maybe a story or two?
Well, you know, in the heyday of the Comedy Store, in let's say, well, the downfall of the Comedy Store was in the 90s, and the Comedy Store in Los Angeles was really struggling to stay alive. And they had one still in San Diego, which they still do to this day. And there used to be one in West Hollywood, and that one went out of business, I think, before my time, maybe the 80s. So I kind of cut my teeth with guys like Sebastian and Joe Rogan before they became superstars. We were all pretty much on the same level. There were even some other guys there that stayed in the business. They got out of the business. We used to see Andrew Dice Clay there every Sunday night, and I was the host of the show. But there were times where you would get a guy like, let's say, Sebastian, myself, my friend Mike Wheels Parisi, this guy Luca Palanca. We were all these Italian guys, Brett Ernst.
Yeah.
We would get into my Jeep on a Sunday night and drive from Los Angeles to San Diego, which is about 2 hours, to get on stage for 5 minutes apiece. Each of us put in $2 a piece for gas and drove all the way back. And that was exciting for us. You can imagine the difference between then and now.
Unbelievable.
So
right.
Crazy. And nobody really knows what's going to happen in the future. Never really were even thinking about it. I think we were more interested in seeing if we could make it to the club in a Jeep that might fall apart.
That I can't imagine. I'm trying to picture that. You know, when you're just getting started out, all you guys, and to think where you went from there, that's so cool. And you know what? Okay, I just thought of something. I want to get your thoughts on it. A lot of folks fear public speaking more than death, right? It's that fear of being ostracized and embarrassed in public. It's a real thing. And yet you get up and go in front of audiences and you're doing your thing. And it's really great. Do you have advice to like the audience for folks who might have a fear of public speaking, or maybe like are interested in comedy, but they're like their fear is kind of stopping them, or anxiety? Like, do you have any thoughts on like what worked for you? And maybe it was never an issue, but do you have any advice for those folks?
You mean fear to get in front of a bunch of people to speak?
Yeah.
I never even understood that. I'm like, what are you afraid of? It's
really
an opportunity to grab the microphone and be the star for the minute. So I always thought that way. And I'm doing this since I'm a kid. I couldn't wait to grab a microphone. I wish there was a such thing as social media when I was a teenager. I wish I knew TikTok when I was 21. I got VHS copies of my stuff. But I would tell people all the time, you know, if it's something you really fear, take a class. Go to a class where a comedian is teaching you how to be funny. Because even if you don't want to be a comedian, you'll learn how to stand in front of people without fear. I used to take classes on public speaking. I used to take speech therapy because, you know, of course, I sound like I'm from New Jersey. But when I was in my early 20s, I wanted to sound like I was all American and right there with.
Oh, interesting.
So I took classes.
So you wanted to adapt basically at first. You're like, and then did you have a moment where you realized like, yeah, hey, this is who?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What was that like turning point, or how did you get to that point?
When I was 18, 19, I was at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, and they wanted you to speak clearly. How now, brown cow? And
I love that. By the way, that's an Anchorman. Mike, do you like Anchorman?
Sure.
That's a great movie. Remember, he's Ron Burgundy's like, how now, brown cow? Unique New York. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Remember that? So it's funny you mentioned how now, brown cow.
Actually, I never saw that movie, so I don't know.
Oh, you got to see it.
I guess I'll have to see it now. But when you learn phonetic alphabet and you learn public speaking, they teach you how to speak clearly, which would be like what they call the All-American speech. So I, being from New Jersey, would say walk, bought, thought, how you doing? It made them very angry.
Well, that's charming too, you know? Don't you think it's like our rough edges too that like help us shine?
Well, I used to try to say walk and bot and thought. Then I realized I was toning down the real me and it wasn't funny. So when I started performing at the Comedy Store, the owner said to me, stop trying to be everybody else, just be you. And I'm like, oh, thank God. How the hell you doing?
I love that. Wow. So hey, what's like one of your favorite jokes? You got a lot of good jokes. But like, what's one of your favorites? Could you maybe tell the story behind it? Maybe even like, hey, I might be putting you on the spot, but kind of deliver it.
You know, some people still to this day will yell out their favorite jokes that I do, even jokes that I haven't done in a long time, jokes that are on my first album, second album, third album. I haven't really gone back to them, but there are reasons why they like it because it resonated. So sometimes I do it. I guess I got really known for talking about whacking Osama bin Laden if I were a president. And that hit like in the millions years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
One of the first jokes to hit in the millions when YouTube first came out. And really, people didn't even know about YouTube. I remember it hit 2.5 million and everybody was calling me going, dude, you're going viral. I'm like, what's that mean? What's that mean? Right. What's viral? And it's too late in the game to even realize what's going on. So to this day, those jokes, maybe I could put them back on. I don't know how they would do now because that's not what's going on in the world. Nobody might remember. However, now that we're pulling out of Afghanistan, I started doing jokes about if I were president now, I'd be the guy that would enjoy making the phone call because nobody talks about that. Like, how does it happen? Who do you call? Who do you call up and say, hey, listen, we're leaving. We're just going to go.
Right.
It's a little long now. The food stinks.
Totally. Yeah, I can't imagine those types of conversations. So now like it sounds like that next like joke, obviously you got to dance with the times. So like what are some topics that you think could be interesting that like you haven't explored yet?
Well, you know, we're all going to try to take a stab at COVID-19.
Right.
You know, there's a time to do it. That time might not be 100% now. But some of the things don't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, we can have some fun talking about it. Just got to be careful because, you know, it did kill a lot of people. It's still killing a lot of people. So maybe not everybody's ready to laugh about it. But I mean, I went and got the second shot and the pain that I was in was hilarious, quite honestly. And I'm like, why did I use the right arm? Now I can't even write. I can't call
So
nobody.
was it bad? It was pretty tough.
It was for me, yeah. You know, everybody experiences something different. The first shot made me sick for 2 days. The second shot only made me sick for 1 day. So I don't get it.
Right. You know what? It's exciting that the world is opening up, almost like a flower blossoming. You know, we're getting back, and people are getting shots. I actually got COVID myself, so I was told by my doctor this is a little bit ago, and it was tough. You know, it actually was. It felt like I got knocked out, especially for about 5 days. Doctor said, "Hey, it's like you got your first shot, so I'll get my next shot. You just have to give it a little space." But we're getting out there again. Austin's pretty open. Florida's pretty open. How is New Jersey? Is it pretty locked down still, or is it opening up?
No, they're starting to open things up. I had a couple of shows. They had 20% occupancy and 30%, 40%, and I think they're saying in like a month it's going to be 100%. There are places where you can wear the mask, but some places you don't have to have the mask. Everything is opening up just like everything else. I guess some states are slower than others, but thank God, because I want to go back to work. I'm sick of staying home.
Yeah, what are you excited for? Like, are you going to be touring in, like, I'm sure you'll hit up LA and different cities, or like, what's your game plan? Like, what's your vision?
Well, I used to entertain once a month on a cruise ship, and that was great because I was getting to see the world.
That's cool.
They called me yesterday and they said, "Do you want to come on board?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they says, "Well, we're only doing 4 and 6 month contracts." And I'm like, "Not yet. I can't go on the ship for 4 months. I would lose my mind."
Oh, is that too long?
Too long.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
It's too long. I could do a week. I mean, thank God I'm not married with kids. Could you imagine disappearing from your family for 4 months? I mean,
no, I can't.
Where'd daddy go?
No, I definitely can't. But I bet that. What's it like? What's your favorite type of venue? Like, do you like like a cruise ship or somewhere like the Laugh Factory or like a off the hook comedy intimate? Do you like the big stages? Like, what's your sweet spot? I'm sure you do it all, but like, what's your favorite venue?
I actually would say I like it all. Bring it. I want small audiences, big audiences, and 2,000, 3,000 seat theaters. I've never done an arena, but I'm ready. I'd love to see 15,000 people. I'm ready. Bring it on. But we just did a theater last week, and in a 1,300 seat theater, they only allowed in 200 people. That sucks.
Oh yeah, that is tough. Yeah,
because it's empty.
Because of the spacing, man. Okay, yeah. But yeah, who knows with that? I'm trying to think, like, what's the what would be your dream spot? Like, I don't know why I was thinking of like the Giants stadium. What's their stadium again? It's called what's it called?
MetLife.
Okay, you got MetLife. Yeah, that would be cool.
Madison Square Garden, baby.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Oh yeah, then Boston, the Garden there. And then are there like big comedy clubs that are just kind of those I thought I saw a picture of you in one of them, but they have like multiple levels. They're kind of like a theater.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of different comedy clubs. There's a lot of different theaters around the United States. I think the biggest audience I ever did was about 10,000, but it was outdoors. So I guess in some respects I did do some arenas, but they were outdoors. They weren't contained, so anybody could be there.
That's cool. I like the idea of an outdoor, and I think there's probably, I don't know, I'm no expert, but I bet there's going to be more outdoor events just because even like with the virus, it's like you can't really get it as easily outdoors, they say. So I feel like outdoors would be a cool venue.
Well, you figure right now, Madison Square Garden is starting to open up, and you got bands like Billy Joel and Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi. I'm sure they're hoping they can get back on those stages, and I'm sure they're going to sell out pretty quickly because people are dying to go out and have some fun and be part of the energy. I'd rather perform in an arena than Zoom.
Oh man, it's hard to generate the energy or like through the screen, right? It's not the same as that electric energy in person, right? Yeah. And I wonder if you could have the stage effects, I bet, and I've seen there's a guy, Bo Burnham. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's more of a younger guy that was doing like combining, he's like musically inclined and he does like funny parody songs. I saw him in Boston and he had a very creative, dynamic show with like a voiceover and lights and everything. But have you ever thought of like, or how do you use like, do you ever use special effects or lighting, or like, how does that?
No, I never did. I was thinking that might be kind of cool. I'd like to come flying out of the floor or something like that. I'm bringing my characters to life on stage. Now I do 3 characters. I do my Uncle Tommy, Michelle, who's like a female version of myself, and then my stone character, Mooney, who's always smoking weed. I'm going to bring them onto the stage and see if I can't change the wigs out and be stupid and silly like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. You know, so you're saying like, yeah, you almost like you like dress up as the characters, and you get to really act it out. I think that'd be awesome. It's like, how can you, like with anything in life, like how can you keep innovating and you know, thinking outside the box, you know?
Yeah, every day you come up with something and you never know what's going to happen. Like, God
bless you.
This past weekend, Thursday, actually, of this week, someone yelled out for me to do Italians on Baywatch.
Oh, interesting.
I haven't done that in years. I don't even remember how it went. But oddly enough, it was in the news that Pamela Anderson is upset that they're doing a remake of her life on Baywatch, and some super hot girl from England is playing the role or something like that. Happened on the same day. So I says, you know what? Okay, I'll do it because of what's going on in the news.
It's just good timing.
Yeah, and then I took the old routine and added to it. So it looked like it was new. And a lot of people in the audience had never seen it before. So technically, I think I came up with a whole new routine about Italians on Baywatch in New Jersey. And It actually became really, really funny.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Is that like posted or is that something that you haven't delivered publicly yet? Or is that something we could like look up?
I don't even know. It might be on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think that's such a great idea. So a lot of it is like kind of an Italian spin on things, you know, like Italian president, Italians on Baywatch, Italians on Family Feud. So it's cool to see that you have that niche, you know, and your authenticity. I think don't you think like authenticity, whether it's in comedy or like me trying to grow this YouTube channel or other people trying to do other things, isn't authenticity like so critical?
It is, because when you've lived it, there's something about the way you're going to deliver it that makes people think, okay, that is hilarious, you know?
Absolutely. And hey, you know what's funny? Speaking of that's hilarious, I thought you were funny in the live show because you'd tell people, the audience, like we'd be laughing, but you're like, guys, if you're not laughing, that's freaking hilarious. And you'd like you just owned it, and that made people laugh even more. You just had that confidence. And it almost seems to be one of your things in the live performance. Just like, you know, Chris D'Elia. Do you know Chris D'Elia? So he laughs at himself. He'll literally be like, like laughing at himself, his own jokes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a signature thing. And that almost seems like one of your signature things. I don't know your thoughts, or if you have any other.
Sometimes I listen to myself while I'm performing and I crack myself up.
And that's so great, isn't it? Like, I think that's so key. Like if you're laughing at it, other people will laugh, right? Like maybe, like I noticed if I tell jokes and I'm just in a social situation at a party trying to, you know, make friends or like, you know, like take a, you know, like if I'm telling a joke and I don't believe in the joke or don't think it's funny or whatever, like have hesitation, it just falls flat. You know, you got to think it's funny yourself and be fully in it. You know?
You do. And I think if you believe what you're saying, you're always going to be 100% great.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, like, what are strategies for typical folks like me to be funnier? And again, like this isn't necessarily like I'm going to go up on stage, you know, and do what you do. That takes so much work. And, you know, I really have an appreciation for it. But if you just want to be funnier, maybe you want to spice up, you know, be a little better in your dating life. You know, it's always helpful to be funny, or just in social situations. Do you have any like high level tactics or ideas?
Yeah. Don't try to out funny anybody because that usually bombs.
Okay.
Smile all the time. And you seem to have a great smile anyway.
Yeah,
And you laugh at your own jokes when you're talking to somebody. So if you're out on a date with a girl and you're laughing and you're having some fun, even if your joke bombs, she's going to think you're adorable.
Oh, that's such a good point. I love that. That is great advice, Mike. That's worth the price of admission for this interview today. Gosh, we've covered a lot of stuff. We've been going in for 30 minutes now. I want to make sure that, as we get to wrapping this up, is there anything on your heart that you wanted to talk about, any message you want the audience to hear? Again, remember this channel is again, a, positive perspective and practical strategies to live life fully. So is there any final thoughts or things you want to share?
Well, the world has this thing they're calling cancel culture people. And it's going to be the comedians that are going to save us from that problem. Because if you think you're going to cancel what a comedian is going to say, you can forget it. Because that means you're really just trying to attack freedom of speech. You have the freedom of speech. Anybody can say what they want to say. And I'm not looking to hurt anybody as a comedian. I'm trying to make you smile. And the truth is funny. So if we don't tell the truth, then nothing's going to be funny. And if you make an entertainer fear what he says, he's going to be boring. So you can't fear. Now, if I had people in my life come at me and say, hey, why are you making fun of the Italians? I'm Italian. I'm offended by what you say. Now, there are some people that are definitely going to say that. I'm offended that you say that all Italians act that way. Well, here's how I can omit you. My family acts that way. Now you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. My family. Not yours, not anybody else's, mine. Are you mad at me now? Wasn't it nicer when I put a lot of people together and I made us all happy? Last night I ordered Chinese food and the guy who delivered the food was Chinese. Eventually, somebody's going to say, that's not right. That's politically not correct. Well, then what is it? Should somebody else have delivered the food? Should I order from an Italian restaurant Chinese food? What's it going to be? What's next? Are you feeling me? What's next?
Yeah. I totally get it. I think, it's important to preserve our right to have freedom of speech and to share and to, often laugh, especially around whether it's tough issues or things that can be a little touchy, instead of trying to focus on our right not to be offended. Some people I have a right to not be offended, but just by sharing an opinion and going out on a limb to be funny or stand for something, you're gonna offend some people, right? But comedy is that safe space. I think it's almost like you're saying we got to preserve this, safe space and great space to shed light on issues and be able to talk about many different things, without having to worry about being.
Every week when I do my podcast, there's always somebody who writes in who says something that they don't like something.
Yeah.
But they actually get attacked by the people who are watching the show having fun. So you want to say to them, look what you just did to yourself. You drew attention to yourself because you didn't like what somebody said. Well, now look what you did. You'd have been better off just not watching the show. We have the right to change the channel.
Yeah, so, you know what?
Offended, shut off the channel.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, and it all comes down to we can't take ourselves too seriously, we got to have the space to all share, to take social risks, share opinions. And I just think humor is a great way to do that. So, cancel culture, I'm no expert on the topic, but it is something that is fascinating, and it can be scary though, in some ways, to have to really be on your toes, walking on eggshells sometime, to worry that you might say the wrong thing. Because if you're coming from that place, how are you going to really, like you said, how's a comedian really going to fully be able to express themselves and, shine in a way?
That's why I always make my show about myself.
right?
Can't really be offended about me in my own life. You're not with me. This is me.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's great, Mike. And I'm curious, you know, as we wrap this up, where can people follow you? You know, where can they find out about what you've been up to lately, what you're working on? I know you have a podcast, don't you? Or could you tell us about kind of what you're doing and where people can find you?
Every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on the East Coast, I do a show called Live from My Mother's Basement.
Love it.
We all grew up in the basement in this area, very big Italian neighborhood. Everybody had a kitchen in the basement, and that's where my mother was making food. And we loved it, and we miss her. So I named my show Live from My Mother's Basement, because we really film in the actual basement I grew up in. There's a bar there with some wine, and we drink and we laugh and we joke. All my social media is Mike Marino Live. My YouTube channel's got the whole series, Marino 2016, which was about me running for president, Make America Italian Again. A lot of different videos. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, at Mike Marino Live. Marino, Mike Marino Live.
I love it, guys. So at Mike Marino Live, check him out across all the social media. You know the ones. Instagram. Check him out at YouTube. Check out Live from My Mother's Basement, right? That I feel like is such a great show too. I love the concept too. And that's really meaningful, like almost it's a tribute to your mom, you know?
Yeah.
And it just feels like cozy and at home. And I enjoy it myself. So everyone check them out. Mike, thank you so much for your time. This was a great conversation. Had some laughs and learned a lot too. You know, a lot of good stuff about even like how to be funnier. I mean, there were some great insights here. So hopefully this isn't the last time that we get to collaborate. And I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to seeing you live again at some point soon. And, you know, I really appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, man.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
See ya. This was fun.